I will be leaving indie wrestling except for one venue and one venue only, which I'm sure you know which it is.
Alpine Club.
And I'm going to be a little bit less frequent because I am starting my own project.
Oh wow, because I know, like you said, you've been training the Tom guys. So are you doing like a school or a
No,
promotion?
not a school, but I am going to, instead of being an indie wrestler, I'm going to say I'm going to be an independent wrestler. And I'm going to use my own gimmick and my own identity to do a sort of online pro wrestling based production where it's me kicking other people's asses. And it's going to be pay per view or pay per download.
Oh, that's the thing. We're getting close.
Okay.
Perfect.
How much time do we have?
We'll just keep doing it.
Okay.
It'll
perfect.
ding. It'll ding.
It'll ding. All right. So let me go through this fast. I asked Eddie if he would have me on occasional shows here in Kitchener because I love you folks so much.
And yeah, everyone loves you there as well, right?
And I have a good, I love the audience and they love me. And I realized they love seeing me kick somebody's ass, like do it almost like a squash job. Like, do you remember that show when I wrestled the cadet?
Yeah.
And I have never been so over somewhere in all my life.
That's what I said. You're becoming a face almost like.
I know, or a tweener, or that ambiguous wrestler like a Dean Malenko who's bitter and miserable and you can't tell if they're good or they're bad. You know, you're not sure where they fit.
It's also a familiarity thing too. When you've been wrestling in front of that crowd for 4 or 5 years, even though you are the bad guy, they've grown to love seeing you.
That's right.
So like even.
And that's part of it. So I asked Eddie if on occasion I could come back and do like a nice energizer match with them, like 7 to 10 minute type matches, and just entertain the audience and just keep some skin in the game. But from here on in, and it's funny because I've recently had a lot of other feds now that I'm kind of coming back to life, asking me to help them out, and I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to focus on me because at the age of 46 and returning to being able-bodied again, and I'm a pretty clever person, I think I can do something for myself.
But and it's like a bucket list thing. You start to do things. Hey, what's more important at this age?
That's right.
So
and I also have to work in a more controlled environment. And so this is going to be film and video based, not live wrestling. It'll be taped and posted and then to be viewed.
But it's like mostly going to be online, or are you going to try and get, like, how far along the process have you gone with this?
Very far. So it's going to be online based.
Okay.
So there might be a few
Do you have like
people...
a name or?
No, my website's called sargewrestles.com. I've reserved the domain name. It's in my name now. And it's a project that I can see through my late 40s and early 50s. I'm going to be kind of like a Nikita Koloff. Not a Nikita Koloff, an Ivan Koloff online, right? The older kind of wrestler. And I want the people that I work with to be, though, to combine my indie world, and you folks in the indie world are not so familiar with this, but it's real and it's big and it really exists. There's a huge gay audience out there that loves pro wrestling. I'm sure you figure that.
Oh,
how
yeah,
can anybody not? You'd be stupid not to.
It makes sense, especially if they love men.
Right, yeah, and when they're running around in Lycra all the time, it looks especially fine, right?
Have you ever seen that movie Ladies Man? Where it's the guy of Saturday Night Live with the afro and he bangs all the girls, but the guys are all secretly gay and they wrestle each other? It's so funny. It's so
no,
funny.
I haven't, but I'll have to check that out.
It's like with Will Ferrell and that, the guy from Saturday Night Live, the black guy. I can't remember exactly his name. It's so funny though, because the wives are all cheating with them because the husbands are all secretly gay, and it's amateur wrestling though.
Right.
They like oil themselves up and they're all, it's so funny.
But the thing is that also, there are all these sort of underground gay wrestling, not promotions, but businesses that do wrestling videos, and they tend to gear towards the more sexual side of things. And my thing is like, pro wrestling's already sexy. You don't have to have sex. It looks good. It already looks good the way it is. So I kind of want to pull more people from that world into the more traditional
like
world of
not
pro
so
wrestling.
underground anymore.
Not
like let's
so
celebrate it more. Like,
yeah, let's
put
put your powers to good use. If I can do this, you as sure as hell can do it too. Okay? If this art fag can do pro wrestling, you out there, all those gay folks out there, you can do it too.
Well,
And since I've been around, maybe I can help you.
isn't it even,
You know?
like, I find if you were able to come out, like, nowadays it's different, but back in the days, coming out about your sexuality was a big thing. So if
Right.
you're courageous enough to do that, you can do anything, in my mind.
Right. No, and at the end of this month, so that's my project, and I need to be alone to focus on it because once school starts, teaching, people think teachers leave school at 3:30 and they have an easy life. I don't.
No.
Work comes home and I go to bed and I'm back at work in the morning and I barely have time to frickin' change the cat litter and do my laundry.
And you have like 20 families that are all dependent on you, basically.
That's right. And I teach, I teach kindergarten.
Yeah.
Which is exhausting.
And you're great at it too.
Yeah, but it's physically exhausting. Like it's like an aerobics class in there. You're up, down, crawling around on the floor, and it can be a challenge.
I did daycare for 5 years, just watching 5 kids plus my own.
Yes.
And that's 5 kids, and I was done. Like every
Exhausted.
day, I'm falling asleep.
Yes. I actually, when I come home from work after teaching, it's a must. I must take a power nap, like a 15 and a half hour power nap to recharge my batteries just to make it through the rest of the evening.
You can't do anything else.
Like I can't even make dinner or go to the gym or do anything like that. So my objective is to bring these two worlds together more and just do good pro wrestling matches with good characters, good gimmicks, good wrestling, nice, fluid, smooth professional wrestling, and I want it to be more intergenerational too. Like I'm 46, but yet I have friends out there that indie friends and friends in the gay wrestling world who are in their 20s, and they have a place, and I would like to see these worlds come together more.
Now, normally, like when I have a guest on the show, normally we don't talk about like their personal life because. I mean, but it is fascinating to me, but do you feel like you can inspire other people too? Maybe like with your story, like this is gonna go on YouTube. It might only get 20 views, but like if it does, and
no, we're gonna make sure it gets a lot of views.
If one person watches this and says, "Look at this guy, he's confident in his own skin.
Right.
People are accepting of him." I mean, the world is different nowadays. I'm sure
it
was
is
different 20 years ago.
It
but
is.
Is that one of your goals too, like to?
But you know what? It's funny. The pro wrestling world has been nothing but good to me. I have 2 Facebook pages because I started on one, it filled itself up. And that page was like friends, family, people, past students I taught that are now 20-somethings, adults with kids, university students I taught that are adults with kids, friends from my travels all over the world, lots of men, lots of women, it's all mixed. The other Facebook page, it's either like I think 1/3 are gay guys, 2/3 are pro wrestlers.
Right.
Like legends and indie workers from all over the world. And some of the stuff I post on there, I think, gee, I wonder if I'm violating the code of pro wrestling or being too out there and revealing things. Not one person has even messaged me or said boo about anything I said. And you know what? I might piss off some gay folks. But gay people are lovely, but sometimes they can be their own worst enemies. It's a culture that thrives on this sort of competition because you're a smaller group of people and outbesting each other or doing better than each other. And I'm not painting everybody with this brush, but I'm saying it's
just
something
like a small
that,
percent.
no, it's just a reality of our culture that we can be quite unkind to each other, and that's a shame.
Like I read,
but pro wrestling has been the people in pro wrestling, even though some people are just kind and acquaintances with me, they're highly respectful of me, and the reason being. That's the code of our culture.
And why should they care? I mean...
Yeah, most people don't in this day and age. However, I do remember once, there was just one person that ever pissed me off, and that's when a student who was at Squared Circle the same time as I was, who was kind of really bitchy towards me because I was so out And I just told him to just, step in the elevator and press F or fuck off.
Yes.
That'd bite me. Oh,
No, yeah.
sorry, I forgot there was a kid
cameraman,
in the house.
are we still recording? Can you check it first, cameraman? Good camera job today, by the way.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not filming for nothing. Is it still recording there?
Yeah, it's at 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, sounds
You're
good.
a good soul. All right, so 10 minutes. So I actually find, because pro wrestling is its code of conduct is really rigorous and structured in the change room. Of you shake people's hands, you make sure you say hello to everybody. Because you're working with these people, you communicate with them well, or else you'll get killed, right? If you miscommunicate.
Well, our lives
right?
are in each other's hands as well.
Our lives are in each other's hands, and that's what it's not like in the gay world. Your lives are in each other's hands, but I'm not sure everybody always realizes that. And I love my gay family very, very much. I do. But sometimes we could take it easier on each other.
Oh, maybe. I mean, that may be true for just everybody in the world.
Well, you're right. I would say.
Different races
or
and
groups,
religions. And...
they infight all the time. And that's part of being put into a category.
Yeah, it
It's
should
like,
be like.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be, but the reality is that it is. And all you have to do is go on, try picking up a date on an online gay dating app. Or and it's just the same shit, and you'll find it can be a horror show. So I'm just trying to make the world that I know more accessible for them, and also all the lovely indie wrestlers that I know. And there's many that have said, I would love to help you out with that, and so I'm kind of excited.
So, is this going to be anything to do with gay wrestling or anything? Like, because you said
they're just gonna have a place in it, and a prominent one.
But like, could I do it, or you have to be batting on that team?
No, you can do it.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if it's only going to be for people with gay orientation.
No. I don't do that. I don't segregate. I mix things up.
Oh, okay, so it's just going to be like another wrestling thing online.
Good pro wrestling, but they're going to have more of a place in it. And I just merging the two worlds together, as opposed to me having to jump into this one and jump into this one. I'm going to bring the two together.
Hey, it's going to make you happy and a lot of other people happy.
We'll find out.
I think
it's an experiment, so we will see.
And anything you've done, you've been good at.
So listen, this is what I've done. This weekend when I was in Toronto, I have been contacting some gay guys who I have actually shown the magic of pro wrestling. I've taught them in my ring, and they're amazing. They're talented. So I've gone out and asked them to come back again and give me a helping hand. And I even met with some new folks who would be really interested in trying. And we'll see what happens.
And do you think that's easier for them too? Like, whereas if they just go to a wrestling school and they're trained, but where they already feel comfortable with you, it's easier for them to do it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I have I have a friend in the States. He trains at a pro wrestling school, I think it's in North Carolina, and he says he doesn't bring up the fact that he's gay. I said, why not? He says, I told him pro wrestling is family. And he says, well, they make jokes, gay jokes and stuff. And I said, well, gay people make gay jokes about gay people too. In fact, they make a lot more. So
here, the camera keeps giving us notifications here, but I just want to thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
How do you want to close this out, Sarge?
How do I want to close this out? I would just like to say, first of all, thank you for having me and just wanting to talk to me about pro wrestling, because both you and I know that it's something in our lives that's really important. And it is an important part of my life orientation, of how I view the world. It's part of the lens through which I view the world. Just like being an artist is, and being a teacher, and who I love is, and how my family brought me up. It plays an essential role in who I am. And the older I get, as I told you, I'm not planning on doing it less. I plan on doing it more. And so just stay tuned.
This is just the beginning.
This is just a beginning, a brand new beginning. And so after that injury, I kind of seeing it as a new start.
It gives you a lot of time to think. Like I know for me,
Sure,
I
yes,
was
it
out
does.
for stopped wrestling for a year and a half, and I was going through custody battles to get the cameraman and stuff like that. But I found it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I knew how I wanted to do it when I came back, and I was
That's
able to
right.
watch my old matches and go, "What was I doing?"
And I've even run this concept by Eddie, and he says, I think that's great.
It is great.
You go for it. And that's why I said, just keep me on an occasional show, doing a little kick-ass match, and I'll be happy with that. And let me do my pro wrestling thing and see where it goes. Because now is the perfect time in my life. I have a beautiful home, a beautiful wrestling facility. I have an amazing wrestling ring. It's right outside my door. I don't have to travel anywhere.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
Everything's on site. I can do it there.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, and it's hard. I can't travel everywhere and do shows here, there, and everywhere. It's just not a lifestyle at this stage in my life that I can live.
Wow.
And that's a good way to end.
That is a great way to end. But I always say, like, or you get a leg drop, comment, or you get a clothesline, subscribe, or you get a suplex. This is the Willow Show.
And I'll link this on my Facebook page, Facebook pages, and my other social networking pages, and some other wrestling sites that I'm on. Okay, and we'll spread the word.
That'd be fantastic, and it'd be really good to get this story out. You have a fantastic story. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
It was
okay,
great.
thanks, brother.
Yes, of
Even
course.
though I'm supposed to beat you up. All right, I love you all the same. That was good. That was excellent.
It flew by.